All right, welcome everyone to another edition of Deconversion Stories. And today I have the pleasure of chatting with my new friend Elle here. Or is it Elle or Ellie? How do you pronounce it?
L.
Elle? Okay.
Just
With
L.
the
Yeah.
uniquely spelled out
Funny
that I
letters.
managed to be able to actually do with it all there, all the stuff here. So that's great.
Thank you.
First of all, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
And you stated a little earlier that you were feeling a little nervous, but
Yeah.
so all you guys there in the chat, show Elle some love there and let her know that there's no
Every-
reason to be nervous.
Everyone look directly at your screen right now so Elle can feel the eyes burning inside her
Oh, thank
skin.
you.
Everyone's very friendly around here, so they're all excited to see you and hear about you.
Yeah,
Thank
exactly.
you.
Exactly. I mean, all these stories are important to share. So,
Yeah.
that being said, Elle, you know what I do? I speak to people about their journeys away from their previous belief systems. So, I kind of ask folks to take us back into the days when they were, still under the indoctrination label and how you sort of found your way out, like the domino started to fall. And
Yeah. And I
tell
was really
us.
badly indoctrinated. So, yeah.
Oh,
I
wow.
was
Okay.
bad. Yeah.
Well, tell us a
So,
little bit about that and how you ended up being on the other side and how that's affected your life and stuff like that.
Real quick, can I guess your accent?
yes, go for it.
South African?
Yep, nailed it. We're everywhere. It's a secret plot to take over the world. That's what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So let me start. So South Africa
Not
is
helping,
really
Michael.
very South Africa is really very religious, and since I was a little girl, my gran and everybody would tell me about God and these stories, and she's had like this personal experience with God where he tapped her on his shoulder. So it's all very convincing. And we used to go to this Dutch Reformed church in South Africa. Those churches are everywhere. But it was a very conservative church and it was really very boring. So soon I got too curious and had too many questions, and the church became very boring. At 15 years old, I became very rebellious and listened to the music of the devil, as my parents said, and called me. I was a devil's child, and soon they decided I needed an intervention. And my mom found this really weird church. They called themselves the Disciples of Jesus. And she contacted this pastor. He called himself Pastor Royas. Royas, if you translate that, is called red because he had his flaming red hair. And he visited my room and said, all my drawings, because I used to listen to like Marilyn Manson and Korn and Nine Inch Nails and all that stuff, and I would draw
All
them,
right.
and yeah, I
Sounds
would
good.
draw them, yeah, and put them on my walls and draw devils and pixies and just a regular 15-year-old child.
Right.
And as you do. And he visited my room and said, no, this child was worshipping the devil and she needs exorcism and she needs help.
Because
And
metal
so,
equals worshiping the devil.
yes, exactly.
Ooga booga.
And then he also gave my mom this book, right? And she was to read this book to me every night. And this book is about heaven and hell. It's about this lady that claimed God visited her every night, and then he would take her to hell and heaven and show her stuff. And it was her duty from God to write this book and warn us all and save our souls. And that book really scared the living shit out of me. It honestly did. I remember stories about this lady saying that God would knock on your door, on the heart of your door. Sorry, on the door of your heart every night. And
Wait, our hearts have doors on them? Cool.
apparently, yes. Apparently they do. And that
Let me in.
if you open for God, you will die and you will find yourself in hell. And then God would just say, look, I visited you every night, but you ignored my message and now you're in hell. Oh, this book was really terrifying. There were stories about, I don't know if you know the Bible really well. There's a verse in Luke, was it Luke 13, verse 28 or something, where people would gnash on their teeth, and hell would be so bad that they would like suffer so much that they would gnash on their teeth or something. So she really went into that into detail. Like there was these pits of hell, and people were in there, and it would be so bad that their skin would burn off and then regrow, and they would gnash on their teeth, but the teeth would break, and then the teeth would regrow. And as a 15-year-old child, that really scares me. It traumatized me.
I mean, then, let's consider something here. How could a soul have skin, anyways?
Exactly. You have to really think about it, because I mean, if you're not in heaven, you don't have a body, you don't have experiences, and us having a brain and a body, we can taste things, we can experience things, and we do not
feel
have that in
things.
heaven. Exactly. You do not have that in heaven and hell. So heaven would really suck, actually, if you think about it in detail. But now I'm getting off track. Anywho, so
hold on. You made a really good point. If there's no, everyone says like if they have like a sick or dying loved one and then they finally die and they're like, well, they're in heaven now, there's no more pain. Well, if there's no pain in heaven because you're a spirit, there can't be any pain in hell if you're a spirit. So bring on the torture. It's all fine. I'm not going to feel it anyway. Knock yourself out, Satan.
Yeah, but you would also not be able to make new experiences and memories and things. So it would just really suck. But we're getting off track. Anywho, at the same time, she decided it's now time to take me to this church, right? And the services of this Disciples of Jesus, they were like 3 hours long, and people would sing and lay hands on my head, and he would do this sort of begging, praying, dance thing where he would say, if anybody needs saving and Jesus is calling you and you need to come up and be saved. And that would go on for quite a lot of Sundays. And I thought to myself, all right, I need to pretend, because these people I feel really weird and horrible in this church. And reading the book, combined with the church and everything, eventually they managed to break me down. And so I was like, yep, I actually need saving. And so I looked up and they laid their hands on me, and now I'm saved. And that was the start of the worst year of my entire life, because they turned out to be a cult, and they indoctrinated me quite badly, also into purity culture. Taught me things like sex is really special. You make this spiritual connection with somebody for the rest of your life. And
spiritual connection, never mind.
but there's a trick to it. Like if you sleep with somebody else, you're also connected to them, but you can never break that connection. So it's like this pyramid thing. If you sleep with too many people and they've slept with too many people, you're sort of connected to all of them. And then he's like, and then you also don't know all their sins. So you can be connected to something like murder and you don't know.
We heard that before. It was like the soul chains or something, right? Remember?
Yeah.
What's her face was talking about that.
It was horrible. And I believed this crap. I really did. They also told me that I can't be my normal expressive self. So as you can see, I'm an expressive person in my goes, in what I do, in the name I have, in things I do. I'm expressive, and I shouldn't be doing that anymore. They let me cut my hair short. They burned all my clothes and my drawings. They destroyed my CD collection, which included Marilyn Manson and everything I loved.
No.
Yeah, they eventually told me that all other churches, including this Dutch church my parents went to, is actually fake and not true. So eventually they put a rift between myself and my family, where I was isolated, and this church was the only people that I can connect with, that I saw, that I phone called. I started reading the Bible obsessively as a 16-year-old, because at that point then I was 16. I would fast every weekend. I would pray excessively. I remember I had these lists that I would keep of people's names that I would meet in life. And then I decided it's my duty to put them on my list and pray for them every night before I go to bed and every morning before I wake up, because I need to help God save them by praying for them. So I was obsessive about the praying, about reading the Bible. But I am not allowed to read the Old Testament, because only for the pastors. It was not for us. Jesus came to make a new covenant with us, and it's only the New Testament that is valid anymore, and the Old Testament is only for history and for the pastors to learn. So I shouldn't read it at all.
Hold on a second. Doesn't that mean there's that expression, God doesn't change? So
Yes.
if you go have a new covenant, that means he changed.
Yes, it means he changed. But it's because we were too sinful to keep the old, what was it, 613, 617 rules?
618.
Yes, 600 and fucking something. 60 rules.
600 and something ridiculous fucking
It is
commandments is what it is.
Yes,
666.
666 rules. And
To be a good
because
Christian.
That's insane, right? And so God realized we can't keep all those rules. And so he wanted to make it easy on us. So he sent Jesus down to save us. And now we have this new covenant.
Oh,
Of
boy.
course, I believe all the bullshit. But it was the worst year of my life because I changed my identity. I had to adopt this Christian woman of Jesus identity where I lost everything about myself. I stopped drawing. I stopped listening to music because secretly I really, really, really hated the church music. But I couldn't, I'm not allowed to listen to rock or metal anymore. And I thought, well, then I'm not listening to any music. Because I cannot listen to this church music. It's horrific. It sounds like people are dying, but they're happy about it. I don't know. It's just weird. I just couldn't listen to it. Yeah, and that started the worst year of my life. I lost all my friends. I lost my identity. I was teased at school because now I also seemed like I need to read the Bible at school and preach to people because I need to save them, right? I need to preach the good news of Jesus, saving people. So they really did a bad number on me. And this shit sort of stayed with me for very long. I did take a break from religion, though, for a while. So, like I said,
hold on.
Yeah.
Before you carry on, you were literally taking a Bible to school and preaching to the kids?
Yes.
They must have been like, what are you doing?
Exactly. And I was the cool one before, remember? I had this expressive identity and my hair and everything I did was just, yeah, I was a cool person before. So I did a complete 180. I even cut off all my hair.
You're still cool.
Oh, thank you. I had this nice long hair that they made me cut off like short because
I would cry.
Couldn't be. I was really miserable, secretly, very, very miserable. But I thought, well, this is what we need to do to be saved, and everybody else will need to do the same, but they don't listen. And I started getting anxiety and started keeping lists of names of people that I would pray to, even though they teased me so much. It was horrible. It was horrible. I'm a kid.
Right,
Alone
little.
with this church. So now a year onwards, and I'm doing this every weekend where I'm fasting and praying and crying and asking for Jesus to show me stuff and lead me and trying to listen to his voice, but it's actually your own voice in your head. It's really weird.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then my gran died, but she was in hospital for a month before she died. And in that whole month, I remember I would go into the bathroom of her room and I would sit there and pray and cry and read Bible for I don't know how long. And I was really convinced that God is listening to me and he's going to save my gran. She's not going to die. And she did. And I remember I went to my mom's handbag and I took money out of her handbag. And I... Sorry.
Yeah, take your time.
I walked across the street. I went to the shop and I bought cigarettes. And I decided, yeah, I'm going to take a break from Jesus, and Jesus can go fuck himself. That's what I decided to do. And I found a door that led to the roof of the hospital, and I went up to the roof, and I started smoking again, because when I was before I gave my life to Jesus, I used to smoke. I mean, I was a kid, 15-year-old, rebellion, everything I wanted to do. Yeah, I went to parties, got drunk, the usual shit. And I said to myself, okay, I'm taking a break. I am allowed to take a break. I'm taking a break. So for that next 5 years, I experimented with drugs. I partied a lot. I would disappear for weekends on end on acid trips in the
Oh,
bushland
geez.
with friends. I just did everything I wanted to do, and I went a little bit nuts. But in the back of my head, I remember my pastor said, if devils are removed from you through exorcism, then you're like an empty house, and that house will need to be filled by the Spirit of God. And if that Spirit of God leaves you, that house is empty. But then those devils will return, and for each of them, they'll bring 7 more. There's actually a verse in the Bible about that.
Mm-hmm.
So in the back of my head, the more I like partied and went crazy, the more I was thinking to myself, I'm actually full of demons. I'm broken. I am devoid of God, and I'm empty. I have no love. I am just a broken soul. During that time, I was also raped and sexually assaulted, but
Oh, man.
I never did anything about it because I believed God was punishing me for deserting Him, and it's my fault. and then
Unbelievable.
And because I was felt so empty for so very long, I decided, right, at the age of about 23, 24, 25, it's time to return to God. So I returned to all that praying, Bible reading, and all that stuff. And I kept thinking, I'm now connected sexually and spiritually by these people who raped me and did that stuff to me.
Right.
And I need to fast and I need to pray excessively and beg for God to forgive me, so I can be free of that, if I'm ever free of that. And for my whole 30s, I never felt free of any of that, and I always still believed that. Yeah, so, and then about, I think about 2018, I got like sort of like a nervous breakdown where I decided, I'm not free. I don't feel forgiven. I'm horribly depressed. I don't hear God anymore. I feel God has left me because I left Him ages ago. So of course he's leaving me and he's turning his back on me. So I don't feel His warmth anymore. And I decided, fuck that. I need to now double down. I need to fix this. So in 2018, I decided I'm going to start reading the Old Testament, and I'm going to start fasting more, and I'm going to pray more. And so I actually decided I'm also unhappy in my career because obviously God told me what to study and what to be and what to do with myself. So I became an accountant, which doesn't fit my personality at all.
I couldn't see that.
No, it was the worst choice. So I decided, well, I'm going to study something else, and I'm going to read the Old Testament, and I'm going to do what I need to do to start healing because I feel miserable. I'm not healing at all. So I started reading the Old Testament, and that was probably when I started deconverting, because the Old Testament is women hating completely, and it confused me because I couldn't understand. If God loved women and He loves people, why is He doing all that stuff to women? I don't know if you guys remember the story. I think it was Judges 19 or something, where He sends out His daughter or His concubine or both or something to be raped by this horde of men. And it really, really shook me, and I got really angry. And then I started thinking, but surely I'm not understanding the Bible right, because the pastor did tell me not to read the Old Testament. So I'm clearly not understanding God's word. I need to buy books and read that with the Bible to understand this better, because I don't have the intellect apparently to understand this stuff. So I started buying books, loads and loads of books of God and women, the true story, how to get God's forgiveness, like a whole lot of books. And I started reading them about your purpose in life, what you should be doing. And at the end of the day, after reading all those books, I didn't really get any answers. The more and more I read, the more and more none of this shit made sense. Not a lick of sense. But I started studying science as well. So I started thinking critically, because that's what they teach you from get-go. From your first unit, that's what I start teaching you, is how to start thinking critically about things.
Mm-hmm.
And so none of this stuff made sense. Like from all those books, all I got was you need to pray, you need to fast, and for some fucking reason you need to have children. For some reason. And none of it made sense. Yeah. My purpose as a woman in life is to bear children.
Only.
That's it.
Yeah.
There's no other.
Your baby
there's no
machines.
other purpose.
Yeah.
Yes. There's no other purpose for me. If I don't do that, then I'm not, because God said what in Genesis, multiply or some shit. So that's what
Go forth and multiply. Yeah.
Be fruitful.
Yes.
Be fruitful. Yeah, something.
Blessed be the fruit or some shit. So I started reading those books and I started having a lot of questions. Then thoughts started jumping into my head. Things like, what if I got Jesus wrong? What if Jesus wasn't really who he said he was? What if Jesus lied and made people think he was God? And then immediately I would feel horrified, thinking, okay, but God can hear my thoughts, he can see in my head. And I just now said to him, I don't think his son is real or really God. No wonder he is turning his back on his and his warmth on me to see how weak I am in faith. Just look at me. This is how weak I am. I have to double down even more. I need to find God. And I thought, well, you know what? I'm studying science. And God created everything, right? He created the laws of science, the earth, the universe. I'm going to find him in science.
You would think that if science could do that, if he was really there, right? Unfortunately, so far we come up bupkis, but
yeah. No, I thought, no, I'm going to find him in science. And I started Googling. I go on YouTube because I thought, well, people could start making videos, right? Like, I found God in this cell under this microscope. Just look there. You see how this and this works? And right there's God. I thought that's what they're going to do. They're going to point to God. Look, there's no way this and this can work. That's the God particle or something. I was convinced that's what's going to happen. And the more and more I looked, the less and less I found. And then as YouTube algorithms go, they started suggesting videos to me. I ended up watching the Ken Ham and Bill Nye debate.
Oh, it's classic.
Yes, classic. And I thought, no, the flood existed, the ark. All this will come out to prove to me that God exists. After I'm watching this, I will be convinced, I'm sure of it. And Ken Ham's arguments just fell flat for me. And now I'm really worried. And I'm confused. And I'm having a crisis because remember, I've lived for 38 years believing in this God shit and praying, and he's making all these decisions for me. And this has to be real, right? I've wasted my life for this long. It has to be real. So I started watching.
It hard hits you, doesn't it? Or it hits you hard.
Oh, yes, I was hit hard. I came out as a very angry atheist. I came out fucking swinging. But so I started watching the Ken Ham arc thing. I think there was another debate on that, and I watched a whole lump of videos. And the more I watched, the less I'm convinced. And eventually I came on to modern debates. And there was this John Steingard. I think he was
he used to be a Christian band lead vocalist or something.
Yeah. And he
still trying to get him on here too.
That would be awesome. I would watch that because he's the guy that made me see, and I'll explain why. So I think it was Sean McDowell. So it's like debates, because I thought, well, I need to start listening to debates, right? Because now confused. So I want to watch debates between atheists and theists.
There's lots.
Yeah. I want to know, because I realized I'm not sure about anything. I want to desperately believe God is real. Desperately. Because something needs to make sense, and nothing fucking makes sense. And started watching these debates, and I came across John Steingart with Sean McDowell. And I think there was this one bit where John said on tour, he was in Africa and he saw starving children, and he said, usually I would just pray to God, and that's my job done. You know, if I pray to God, God will intervene and he would fix the situation. And you don't have to do anything else. You just have to pray, and that's it. Lead singer of Hawk Nelson. And then John said, and then he realized, but where is God in suffering? Why we don't do anything? We just pray for something to be fixed, and that's it. We don't actually go and help fix it. We just have to pray, and then God will fix it, right?
Right.
And when John said that, it snapped in my head. I was like, oh my God, that is real. I feel the same way. And then the more he talked about how he felt, the more I'm identified exactly with how he was feeling and what he was going through. Right. And it was at that very moment that I realized I identify as an atheist. And I was like, oh God, I have no morals anymore.
Hallelujah.
I'm like, because at that point, as theists, you think atheists don't have morals, and they don't know what love is, because you only get
totally
love
we
from
don't.
God.
We totally don't.
So I knew I don't believe anymore. I can't, with a straight face, lie to myself like that. I knew I don't believe anymore. And then I was an atheist, and I was sitting there and I started crying. I'm like, oh my God, I'm an atheist. I have no morals. I have no value or purpose. I am this weird thing that, has no purpose.
Hold on. Like, when you thought about that about yourself, like, oh, I'm an atheist, so I must have no morals.
Yeah.
I'm like, I want to know what love is.
I want you to show me.
Yeah, exactly. Did you not think to yourself, in the same sort of breath, like, well, I care about people, and I care about, things that people should care about. Does that not make me moral? Like, did you not have that sort of thing go through your head, or?
Well, I did think about myself and thought, well, I think I'm different because I'm kind. But I thought everybody else that identifies as atheist is not like me, because I always thought I am a little bit weird. So in that, I am different. I thought, well, I am different. I know me. I know I am kind. So yeah. And I thought, well, I need to follow this John Steingart guy and see what he's doing and what he's saying. And then
he's really cool.
And then I came across the Seth Andrews interview that he did with John Steingart.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember looking at Seth, and I thought, oh, I can see the devil in this guy. Just look at his black. That man's full of devils. I'm convinced of it. And then I sort of stopped myself and thought, and I'm like,
Andrews is the devil.
This guy's a fucking devil. Look at him. Just look at him.
Oh, I think he's pretty cool. He paid for my beer at the last gathering we had.
He's so funny. He's so funny. His tweets has me in stitches most of the times. He's just funny. He did this tweet where there was this broken China, and then he says, now I understand what Trump's mean with his stuff in China, because I don't know, this thing where Trump threw his plate of food. Anyways, it's funny if you look at everything in context. Super funny. But I stopped myself mid-thought and thought, well, look, if God isn't real, why the hell would the devil be real? And then, by extension, why would hell be real?
Right.
Because remember, they sort of pounded the thought of hell and the fear of hell into me when I was 15. So that stayed with me. That's the thing that always kept me hooked, because I was like, yeah, but I have to believe, because my soul will burn in hell forever. And I know all those stories about the the smell of burning flesh. I had horrible dreams about that, of devils chasing me. I actually still have those dreams. So I was really traumatized by that book and those stories.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and then, the fear of hell was the last thing I let go of. But it's Seth that made me see, in that sense, that, if God isn't real, then the devil isn't real. And the things I'm thinking is stupid.
Well, not stupid, because I would never see. I have this big issue with stuff that's kind of going on right now, or there's a lot, I still see it, and even people I know, and I'm like, you got to stop doing that. You can't call religious belief a mental illness or that it's stupid. It's because it's not that. I mean, people get misguided. They get indoctrinated. They get not so much lied to, but because those people believe that what they're telling them is true as well, right? So these people just end up growing up with this kind of thought patterns, but they're not mentally ill. They can, there's a saying, if you weren't reasoned into it, you can't be reasoned out of it. But I don't really agree with that so much, is because I've seen people that weren't reasoned into something that have reasoned their way out. I mean, I've got over 400 and something, like 430 interviews on here, I think. And some people were heavily into it and they weren't reasoned into it, but they found their way out. So it can happen. So there's a lot of people out there saying, oh, religious belief is mental illness. No, it's not. And let's stop saying that, so we can actually help some people find their way free of this stuff, right?
Yeah.
I don't think there's a ton of...
No, sorry, continue.
I don't think there's a ton of us atheists out here now, or in the audience right now, that are like, yeah, it was the Kalam cosmological argument. That's what really drove me to Christianity. It's like, no, your mommy and daddy told you Jesus loved you and you believed it.
Yeah.
Like, you just weren't,
you
were never given the right information.
Yeah, get them at a young age. That's what you should do.
Yeah, that's why they get you while you're young.
They got candy at Sunday school. You want some donuts? Donuts and orange juice? Come on.
I always want donuts. You kidding me?
You do like
so if you don't believe, you will burn in hell, but Jesus loves you and here's a lollipop. That's sort of from the school.
It's like the dentist. Here, you'll see you next time. Here's a lollipop.
Lollipop, yeah. Thanks for participating. But anyway, so then I started coming across the Atheist Experience. Yep, and Matt Delanty, as a John, Tracy Harris, can't remember all of them, but I came across that.
Tracy,
and then I realized, oh, I have some trauma. I have still some indoctrinated ideas, because I was heavily indoctrinated into thinking like there's just two genders, for example, and women have these gender roles and we have to comply with that and we have to be subservient to men and we are less than men and this is just the way it should be, and I shouldn't speak up and I shouldn't be too loud and I shouldn't be this and I shouldn't be that. It's I lived my life like that for very long.
You should definitely be loud.
Yeah, definitely. Just be loud. just express. It's fine.
Yeah.
And then one day I was like, saw this little Discord thing flash across the screen from the Atheist Experience, and I'm like, well, I'm alone and a bit isolated, and I never really joined any churches because the pastor said that all other religions and all other churches except his church is from the devil and fake.
Of course.
Yeah. So. And I'm confused and I'm still not sure, but I know I'm an atheist now because I can with a straight face say I believe any of this stuff. And so I joined the Discord and I started making friends, but I came in swinging, that's for sure. I came in very angry, went into the religion channel straight away, and I'm like, all the religious nuts. All right, so tell me this, tell me that. Well, if Jesus loves me, why this? I just started building my arguments from there onwards. And I started volunteering with the shows as well. So helping in the YouTube chats. I started volunteering with the Dave and Genevieve show because I came across Dave from the Atheist Experience because he was a host. And I'm like, this is such a lovely, kind human being. And he has such a lovely story. I'm sort of like a fan of him and Meta as well. I think he's just awesome. is he did these readings of the Bible, of Genesis, and I think he's continued with that, and that sort of helped me by joking about the Bible, sort of lessened the power of the Bible had on me, because at one point I was like, oh, we can't make fun of the Bible, it's awful. It's just awful. God will smite us down. We can't do that. And the more I watched him and Meta's reading of the Bible, the less the Bible had power on me, because he would just logically like talk about things, and he was just so funny. So I became a him and Meta fan as well. And I eventually made my own Discord, where I hope we can continue deconstructing all these shit religious and societal ideas that's just harmful to us. Yeah, and that's my story.
So, yeah, first of all, Hemant Mehta, I'm surprised you actually came across him a little bit later than everyone else, because when I accidentally somehow triggered the Atheist YouTube stuff, I kind of came across him almost immediately, along with some other really great creators from like old school ones like Non-Stamp Collector and Theremin Trees, and of course the Atheist Experience stuff, and Seth Anders, of course, Thinking Atheist stuff, and of course, Hitchens and all the stuff that he did, and Sam Harris popped in there too. But I got to say, Hemant's great, and he's super smart too. Like he was a freaking Jeopardy champion, for crying out loud. So I follow his stuff, mind the pun, religiously, like his stuff on Only Sky, and I'm constantly retweeting stuff that he puts out there too. He's a really good guy, and I had him on. Unfortunately, he couldn't stick around for the after party because he's a busy dude and he's got a lot of stuff to do. So we had it without him, and I was just lucky enough to get him on here for the time that I did. And he's next Jain, which you got to think of all the religions, which one's probably the least harmful is probably Jainism, right? Because they're all about don't hurt anything except yourself, because a lot of the wooey shit that's in it can be self-harm. But he was definitely an interesting guy.
Some people get addicted to Jain.
Okay.
All right, let's just kick his ass out of here. No,
it's a band. That's a band. Jane's Addiction.
Jane's Addiction.
Oh,
yes.
Yep.
One of my all-time favorites, actually. So how did all of this, after you came out and you finally, you realized you were an atheist and you were leaving all this stuff behind, and you went through your angry atheist phase and stuff like that, what are you up to like nowadays when it comes to your atheism? Are you being an advocate for anything, or are you being active in anything? I mean, other than the Discord.
No, it's mostly Discord, and then obviously volunteering at the shows. So I'm doing what I can to help the shows, so promote that, because the shows really helped me when I needed it. Sure. And that Discord, the ACI Discord, really helped me when I needed it. So that's sort of what I'm doing, is trying to help people like me that come in, that newly deconverted, and help with the shows, because the shows help me. So that's sort of what I'm doing now. And then I'm still studying science. I've decided to go into chemistry, and I'm almost finished.
Hey!
So
that's what I do.
You do? Oh, chemistry is awesome.
I'm a lab technician / chemist. I call myself a hack chemist because I don't really actually have a degree, but I'm certified to do what I do for an environmental company called GFL. So,
that's awesome. I want to work in a lab. People tell me I'm good with people. I should be working with people, but I can just pop on earphones, music, lab work, do stuff.
Sure.
And then go look at NMRs later and see
That's pretty much what I
do. Yeah, what did I actually make, and what can I do with this? And organic chemistry is like my spirit animal. It's
it's kind of overwhelming at first when I started learning about that stuff, but you do kind of fall into it. All of a sudden everything starts making sense once you start doing it and stuff like
There's
that.
like rules and a rhythm, and if you understand it, you're like, oh yeah, fuck yeah. So what will this ketone do if I combine it with this? And you're like, oh, that's fucking bitching. I need to do more of this.
Sure, because you start learning the traits of the different elements, right? And which ones you can and can't. And I wouldn't suggest, like, I had to give my boss shit because he went and dumped water into sulfuric acid. I'm like, oh boy, what are you doing? Poo! It's like all over the place. Like, dude, get out. I had to yank him out of there. It's like crazy stuff.
Yeah.
But we do appreciate that you do help out with the ACA stuff, because I am a host and whatnot for the ACA as well. So,
yeah.
I haven't done anything recently with them for a while, but I will be recording an episode of the nonprofits coming up.
Nonprofits, soon. Yeah. I've seen you on there for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and Truth Wanted I've been on a couple times. Talk Heathen I've been on a couple times. Never been on the Atheist Experience, but it will happen one day.
Yes,
one day I'll be on there.
Yeah.
And it looks like I'll be doing an episode of The Line, which is not ACA, but it's still some fun stuff too. So watch out for that.
Yeah.
Well, Elle, I also want to know, like, what about your family stuff? Like, how's your family reacted to all of this sort of thing?
They don't know.
Oh, they don't know.
No.
Oh boy.
I'm a closeted atheist.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I live in Australia now, and I just figured if I go back home, I can fight them and tell them their God is a twat and he's not real. or I can just try and make good memories with them and have a good time with them.
Sure.
And have nice experiences with them, because I see them once a year. And I decided to do that. But in saying so, I'm going back in December, and I thought to myself, well, you don't want to like pretend and be fake all the time. You want to be authentic too. So I thought, well, I'm just gonna like wing it and see how it goes. There might be a point where it's too much, and then I'll just tell them, yeah, fuck it, please. I'm like 40 years old. Just go away with this bullshit. I can't handle it. Or I might just smile and wave and be like, yep, blessed be the bread rolls. Fuck.
Let's have dinner.
yeah. So I might do that, or I might speak up. I actually do not know what I will do. It will be a surprise for everyone, including me.
Do you have any ideas, like, if you did come out and admitted to all of it, do you have any idea of what their reaction might be?
Oh, they'll think I am horrible, because in the meantime, remember that we all raised that tattoos and piercings and all that stuff is really just bad. And I'm back to listening to the music I love, and I'm getting a lot of tattoos and things done. So if I come out and tell them, look, I am an atheist, they would think horrible things of me, and they would start preaching, and they would start praying, and they would start treating me. Yeah, they would start treating me like
take away all your Christmas gifts, right?
Yeah. So
maybe it's not a good idea yet.
No, it would really be awful. Like my little brother, since I can remember, he would talk about IT, and he just wants to go into IT. And my dad died a year ago, and
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it happens. Yeah,
lost mine.
I suspected he was not as believing as the rest. I suspected he was actually a secret atheist, and I wanted to ask him, like when we do our little walks or something. I wanted to still ask him, and now I can't. Anywho, so my brother just left school, and it's really hard to get a little job in IT. And this church had a job for him. He needs to record their shows and help them go online, have an online church, etc., etc. And he was still studying IT at the time when he joined this church. And then my dad died, and this church then convinced him that they've had this message from God that he needs to study as a pastor. And he left his child dream since he was like 5. That's all he could have talked about. That's all he wanted to do. And he left that dream, and he's now studying to be a pastor. And everybody's so happy because this church will teach him how to treat a woman right and how to get a wife. And I'm like, yeah.
Oh my goodness.
This fucking sucks. Yeah.
No kidding.
And I can't, of course, really speak up or say anything because everybody's so happy. And he's now joined the church choir. So I'm like, yep, it all really just sucks. and I just have to pretend. But like I said, let's see what I would actually do when I get there. You never know, I might actually speak up. And say,
Well, I mean,
enough is enough.
only do it if you feel safe enough to do it.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, because I am on vacation. I do not have my car there, so I can't just jump in the car and be like, all right, goodbye.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
You could get up and go for a walk, but eventually you have to go back there.
back there. Yeah. And they're very highly religious people and believe all sorts of shit.
Oh, wow. Are they like young
Yeah.
earth creation type stuff, or?
Yep, all of that. Yep.
Wow.
And there's only 2 genders, and gay people are from the devil, and yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then obviously South Africa with its like past about racism and everything,
Yeah.
I have that black friend, I can't be racist sort of mentality. Yeah, so it's really bad. Yeah, and that's sort of my family.
Racism sucks so much.
Word.
It does.
I often say this a lot. Like, what people need to really realize is there is no race. There's one race, the human race. And just like every other species, we happen to come in a variety too.
Yeah.
So, like, get over it. Like,
Yeah.
fuck.
Yeah, it's this thing that you can't really help where you are born, the way you are born.
Nope.
So why would we treat these people differently or less than? It doesn't make any sense.
No.
Like the same with women. Like I used to think that God must know something terribly horrible about me and my personality because He made me a woman and I'm less than a man. So obviously there's something horribly wrong with me. Because I'm a woman. Yeah. So if I was better, I would have been a man. And that's the sort of shit they teach us in South Africa.
That's the kind of shit that religion pushes that just pisses me off. It's like it teaches you all kinds of, or not teaches you, it pushes that you're broken, that you need fixing, that you're born a sinner. Like, how is that even possible? First of all, and that you're, if you're a woman or you're less than a man, like trans and gay people have no rights, they don't exist, they're just pretending or whatever all that bullshit is. It's like, and it drives me up the fucking wall. Like, you got this is not a religion of love, this is a religion of hate, is what it is.
It is
like teaching you how to hate all the people that aren't just like you.
Yeah, and based on fear, because that's how they get you, is all those fear mongering. Yeah, and then as soon as I started deconverting and I realized sin isn't real, this concept of sin isn't real, that there's nothing wrong with me, that there's absolutely fucking nothing wrong with me. I started really getting, like, I shed a lot of anxiety and depression. I started feeling so much better about being raped and sexually assaulted and all that stuff. Because then I realized it's not my fault. Because remember, for like 38 years of my life, or like since it happened, how many years, 20 years, or whatever, I thought all that time, it's my fault. And I had a lot of self-hatred towards myself.
Oh, man, I'm sorry.
I can never heal properly because I have to make up for this. I have to always make up for being a woman, and then for turning my back on God, for being this floozy and
floozy. You don't have to make up for fucking anything else. You don't have to make up for anything. No, you're awesome in my opinion.
Thank you so much. And as soon as I realized all of that stuff isn't real, I started shedding so much guilt and shame and hate for myself.
Good for you.
And I started feeling so much happier. I have like joy. I feel free. I feel happy to be myself. I am okay with making mistakes because I don't have to make it up to some invisible dude in the clouds.
Right.
Yeah. So it's been good. Yeah.
Yeah, Cooper got it. There's no hate like Christian love. There you go.
Yeah. No hate like Christian love, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was taught all sorts of things like gay people and trans people are just confused and the devil is confusing them. And yeah,
Sure, that's what it is.
yeah. So
I've heard so many stories because I've had many members of the LGBTQIA plus community on the show, and these folks know who they are from a very early age.
Yep.
This isn't confusion. They may be confused as to why this all-knowing deity decided to put them into the wrong body or whatever, but it's not a thing of confusion. They know exactly who they are, right? From an early age, even as early as 3-4 years old, they know.
They know.
Right?
Yeah.
One gal I had on was saying that her mom realized that she knew who she was early on, because when she went to buy her clothes, she said, "Well, you like the shirts and the baseball hat, and like the boy clothes, we'll say." They knew, no, I want to wear that. They want the dress, they want the princess outfit or whatever, because they knew early on that that's who they were. They weren't the body that looks at you right like that you're seeing right now. This is not who they were, right? So people know, they know right away. And you can't take that away from them, and you shouldn't dehumanize anyone because they are in the situation that they're in.
But the arrogancy of Christians telling, but I actually know your experience of life way better than you, so I'm just going to tell you that you're confused by the devil because I've got this authority from God. So what you fucking do? You're confused. So the audacity of those people, and I believed all that, and I felt so angry for a while because of all the time that I've wasted believing all that stuff. They really hooked me badly, and I'm not dumb. I'm really not dumb. That's why I understand what
you're in chemistry. You can't be dumb.
No,
it's like the foundation of all other sciences. So
yep.
Right behind physics.
No, it's that's it. You're done.
What are your chemicals made out of? Just asking for a friend.
Right, but chemistry is one of the foundations of even physics, my friend.
I mean, it's usually made of atoms.
Yes.
Particles.
Yes.
Strings, quarks. Upspin, downspin.
I
figured that would be the real basic, bottom foundational level.
Quantum physics is like the underlying of everything. But sure.
Before chemistry.
Still chemistry.
And then spiritual energy. Okay, I'm just joking.
Spiritual energy.
And chakra.
And chakra,
Chakra.
Your aura. Your aura feels off today. Like, I think you should fuck off.
Must realign your chakras. What about, I think one of the most disturbing thing I've seen so far with this woo-woo bullshit is the anal bleaching stuff where you put your legs up and you let the sun, I don't know what the hell they get their buttholes towards the sun.
And I don't know why you would do that.
Your neighbors have to be furious.
Vitamin D, I guess. But...
The neighbors are just like, Larry, enough. Enough, Larry.
Put your fucking pants on.
You could do it inside your house. You could do it in your house through a window. You don't have to be out in the front yard doing this every day. It's getting bad. This kid's out here. He's right at the bus stop.
Larry, I think you should go see a doctor. There's something horribly wrong.
Something's terribly wrong.
There's a medical term called an aura, and it applies to epilepsy.
Okay.
Is that how you get your power to do like dragon moves? Is that
feeling, isn't it? Then you can get metallic. Or...
I always heard that it tastes like metal. Right before.
What kind of metal? Speed metal. Black metal.
Hardcore.
All right.
Hardcore metal. Okay.
All right.
Jazz metal.
Well, Elle, if you could go back in time and talk to your earlier self when you were as a believer, what advice would you give yourself?
Well, not while I was believing, because I would obviously think that devil is like controlling this person. I would go back before, while I was busy in that period with that church and that book, and I would tell myself to not give in to that stuff, and it wasn't real. Because then I was still curious and have questions and had my own identity and expression, and I would go back to that time and try and intervene there. Because from there onwards, until they hooked me, there was nothing you could do. There's nothing anybody could have said that would have deconverted me, that would have done anything. I was like, how much work I put in to get back to God, like the books and the reading and the this. So when I put my head on something, I'm determined. You're not going to fucking sway me. I've thought about it. I'm thorough. I've thought about it. I am determined. I will do it. It's when I was still in that thinking period. That's when you can actually intervene.
Sure.
Yeah. So yeah.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for sharing your story. I know some of it was kind of hard to talk about, but
yeah,
it's important that we share these stories, because there's other people that might be in a position, starting to find their way free. And when they hear that ultimately you end up in an okay place, and that there's more of us out here that can help you feel better and feel safer, was what I hope these stories do for people. And I've gotten emails from folks saying that that's exactly what they do. So I'm glad that it works, and I'm glad you came on here to share yours with us.
Thank you. Yes, I feel much better. I rid myself of things like toxic guilt and toxic, that hero syndrome, like you have to save everyone. That's actually sort of a toxic thing. You want to save people and still want to save everyone or deconvert everyone even. That's sort of toxic. It's like, have boundaries. It's healthy. Do that.
Yeah, you're not gonna, it's not gonna be easy to save everyone, but you can just do your best to spread the information you think is what people need to sort of believe, or get themselves away from this sort of stuff that is harmful.
Yeah,
that's the best we can do. Right?
Yes.
You can throw out lifelines, and hopefully, people grab on and pull themselves up.
Yeah. You never know where they are actually in their process, and what would be the thing that sets them over. Like John Steingart was for me when he talked about where's God in suffering, and that's the thing I did it. It threw me over, where I was like, I identify with everything he's saying. I'm an atheist now. I have no morals. But I'm an atheist.
Oh, you have morals. You have morals that are far superior to most of the people that are still in that belief system. Trust me.
Yes, agree.
Well, it was great having you on, and hopefully you're ready to stick around a little bit for the after party.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely a lot of fun. Which reminds me, guys out there in the chat, if you'd like to join us for the after show or after party, as I call them, just let us know. And there's a link to it in the description box below if you just want to be a watcher, you lurkers. But you can reach out, and we'll get you a link, and you can jump in here with us. Also, thank you guys for hanging out with us here in the chat. It's always a pleasure having you guys here. Seeing all the stuff that you post, and I love your showing for Elle here and stuff like that. It's awesome.
Yes, thank you so much.
Yeah, and also thanks. Yeah, and thanks to my wonderful patrons. You guys are awesome. Couldn't do this without you. So thank you for all you do for us. We really do appreciate it.
Hoorah.
And we'll put this one in the books. No, and we'll I'll get you actually, Mike, the easiest way I think to do it is to put the link in the private chat, so you can just click on it and go right over there. But we do take a bit of a break, between shows. Yeah. So you can, bio break or grab a drink or whatever you want, a snack or something.
Yeah.
Snacking.
Grab a whiskey, actually. It's Sunday. I think that's a good idea. Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
That's right. You're in the future.
I am in the future. Sunday.
What are the lottery numbers?
Please tell us.
36, 19, 37.
Fucking fuck. Slow down.
That's awesome.
Slow down. I gotta get this right.
Chemistry break. Yes, that's right, Darnell. Chemistry break.
Yeah.
All right, guys. We'll get into that after party soon. 15, 20 minutes or so. So watch for that. There's a link, as I said below. You can just click on it and hang out and wait for us. or if you want to be involved, just let us know. And until then, guys, like I always say at the end of the interviews, like the late great Christopher Hitchens once said, it's called faith because it's not knowledge. And we'll see you guys next time.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.